50 years ago, 1971, we started with 10 employees and about $10 million in mortgage activity, and we've grown tremendously over these 50 years. As Alaska has grown larger and prospered, AHFC has been there along the way to make sure that we give Alaskans access to safe, quality, affordable housing. Whether that's in our public housing and helping people that need a little step up, or with our mortgage activity for Alaskans, seniors, veterans, first-time home buyers, rural residents all around the state. AHFC is currently a $4.6 billion public corporation. We've had anywhere over the years from as low as 10% of the mortgages in the state to up above 80 to 90% of the mortgages in the state. And we hit that high number was during the 80s, as we saw the state of Alaska boom in the 60s and much more so in the 70s as a result of oil development. We saw the population of the state explode, and we had a state that wasn't nearly prepared to house all of the people that were coming up here to work. And as a result, a tremendous amount of construction was done. It resulted in overbuilding. And when we saw the recession of the late 80s, when the price of oil dropped, we saw thousands and thousands of people leave Alaska. To not have a place to live, to not have a shelter, is the base that a human builds all of their life around. How are you supposed to find a job and go to work if you don't have a place to live, and raise children, and how are they supposed to study? And so it all comes from a house. So really at all levels of housing, we play a role. We're the state's agency for homelessness, and so we play a major role in helping to get people who have lost homes and making sure that the homes that are built in Alaska are built safely and energy efficiently. As part of our 50th anniversary, we're kind of doing a look back on how the state has progressed and important points over the 50 years with the state as well as with AHFC. You'll find a timeline that we've put together where you can walk back through what's happened in the state in the last 50 years. You'll also be able to see and read important things that have happened in the housing industry and with Alaska Housing Finance Corporation. So it really is not just an educational, but for many of us that have been here during all of those years, it's a very nostalgic kind of look back and a reminder when we were such a young state, our population was so small, our economy was not very developed, and how far we've come over those last 50 years, and then excitement over where we're going to be 50 years from now. And now I'd like to introduce Jewel Jones. When I started at the corporation in 2003, Jewel was chairing the board. She's had a tremendous role over many of the years that we have existed as a corporation in housing and other areas in this state, and really truly been a leader. We were very fortunate to have her as our board chair, and she'll also have a few things to say about 50 years of AHFC.
My name is Jewel Jones. I was the board chair of Alaska Housing Finance Corporation, appointed in 1995. My 8 years on the board were filled with tremendous experience and never to be forgotten opportunities. I think some of our best memories for me at the time, AHFC held most of their meetings either almost always in Anchorage, and every now and then I think, maybe they went to Fairbanks. But since we had the opportunity, I really felt that we needed to take our board meetings at least twice a year when we could. But whenever we could, over that 8-year period, I think we were able to visit every part of the state, from the Aleutians to Barrow, Kotzebue. We needed to be out and see what the money did. We can have tons and reams of paper before us, and we could, discuss the financing arrangements and leveraging and the use of arbitrage. But we needed to see people, and the board needed to see, how these dollars were being used. And consequently, people needed to see the board. So looking into the future, if you don't have a safe, affordable house, then you have nothing. And everybody won't have a house to be in. Some people just want to have an apartment. They don't want to be a homeowner. But to be able to find ways to provide housing is critical for your survival. So as long as we keep that focus in AHFC and never stray too far from the basics, that's what I'd love to see, 50 years into the future.